I'm talking again today about art and creativity, and I'd like to start with reading something that Swami Kriyananda wrote. He said, "God has a song to sing through each one of you, through every human being, through every atom. He has a different thing to say." This is important for us to remember that we are, each of us, a unique expression, and God is trying to express himself or herself through each one of us in a very particular way. Swami goes on to say, you have to be a doer in the sense, though God is the doer in everything ultimately. But we filter the creativity that flows through us. And so it is a unique expression. Each person will be a different filter. If we can filter from the highest source, each of us will find that we are bringing into the world a whole new consciousness. The reason that we have all been born in this world is to help usher in this new age of consciousness. And so we need to think that every expression that we do, whether it's making clothing, making a garden, writing a book, writing a song, singing a song, anything that inspires us, that expression is our offering to God as a way of our tuning into Him and expressing it in service to others. So when we think of art and creativity, it's important to remember that we are acting as channels for God's creativity. It's innate within us because it's part of Him. And so when you're creating, try to think of that. Try to use your intuition. Try to feel, as is often talked about in sports, try to feel that you are in the zone. I used to do a lot of graphic arts on the computer, making book covers and album covers, that sort of thing. And I taught myself how to use Photoshop. This was in the early 1990s when it was a new thing. And I knew some of it. I certainly didn't know the full extent of all the things that it could do. But I got fairly intuitive about using the different computer tools in Photoshop. And what I would try to do is center my consciousness at the point between the eyebrows and to call on God for His help. And I was often amazed at the flow that I would get into. It would be beyond thinking. It would just be a flow. And it was extremely joyful. So as you're working with the medium that you prefer, try to apply those principles. Try to center yourself at the spiritual eye, to call on God, to ask Him to be with you, to do the process together, and to share that process with Him. It's extremely joyful and a wonderful way to exercise your intuitive faculty. because all truth and beauty and art comes from that highest center. Certainly the great composers felt it. There's a beautiful book called Conversations with Great Composers. And it's conversations with Brahms and many wonderful composers, and they all talk about tuning into that high source of inspiration. And the more that we do that in our lives, the happier we will be, and the more we will be able to serve others through the beauty that we help to co-create.